Hi, I'm Dara Connolly from Common Purpose Ireland, and you are listening to the Social Media Talks podcast with Alan Hennessy from compassmedia.ie.
Hi there, this is Alan here from the Social Media Talks podcast, and before we begin this episode, we'd like to give a big shout out to our sponsors and also our supporters. The Social Media Talks podcast is sponsored by ContentCal, creating a solution to simplify and speed up how teams can plan, collaborate on, approve, publish and analyse social media content in a familiar and intuitive calendar interface. In just 3 years, they have been trusted by over 10,000 businesses and agencies in 110 countries to deliver social media content at scale and have recently won an award for the Content Management Tool of the Year. For more information on ContentCal, visit their website at contentcal.io. We would also like to remind you the Social Media Talks podcast is proudly supported by charityradio.ie, one of Ireland's leading online radio stations supporting charities across Ireland for free. And now, this week's episode.
Welcome to Social Media Talks podcasts, brought to you by compassmedia.ie.
Hello and thank you for joining me. This is the Social Media Talks podcast, brought to you by compassmedia.ie, episode number 66. I'm your host, Alan Hennessy, and this is the podcast to help business owners who want to learn more about social media marketing. And if you'd like to listen to any of our previous podcasts, you can log on to our website at compassmedia.ie/podcasts. You can also join our Facebook group by logging on to facebook.com/groups/social media talks. You can also join us on a Monday night on our Facebook page. The Social Media Talks show is brought to you every Monday night from 8:30 till 9 with myself, Alan Hennessy, and my co-host, Trevor Lorkins, the Digital Alchemist, where we talk all about social media marketing and also all about digital marketing as well. So we do hope you can join us every Monday night from 8:30 on the Social Media Talks Facebook page. And we're looking forward to today's show. Today I'm going to be joined by Dara Connolly, and Dara is the CEO of Common Purpose. And Dara has held senior roles in a number of organisations recently, and as head of business development in Young Social Innovators, and now is the CEO of Common Purpose Ireland. He has also enjoyed 4 successful years taking a creative reuse social enterprise working with children and individuals with disabilities from a startup to a sustainable business model, winning a number of awards along the way, including the Social Entrepreneurs Ireland's Impact Award. And Dara is a passionate believer in nurturing social change and developing leaders and forging personal development in others. And today we're going to be talking to him all about Common Purpose. And Common Purpose is a leadership development organisation. They are a non-profit organisation founded in 1989 that develops leaders who can cross boundaries, and this enables them to solve complex problems both in organisations and in cities. They deliver face-to-face and online leadership programs for multiple generations of leaders, from students in universities to small and medium-sized enterprises to senior leaders in organisations and society. And today we're going to be talking to Dara and taking a deeper look into what Common Purpose actually does. So without further ado, I think we will transition straight over to the interview with Dara. Hi Dara, how are you? Thanks for joining us today on the Social Media Talks podcast. It's a pleasure to have your company. How are you today?
I'm absolutely great, Alan. Thank you very much for your opportunity to talk to you on your fantastic podcast.
Brilliant stuff. And of course, we're going to be talking all about connections that cross boundaries, and also about building collaborations as well. So really interested to hear a lot more about this particular subject, and of course the work as well that Common Purpose Ireland do in that whole sector, I suppose, as much as anything else. But I think before we start, for anyone who doesn't know you. You might give us a little bit of a brief background on yourself before we get stuck into our chosen topic today.
Okay, I suppose fairly obvious from anybody talking to me for over 2 sentences, they'll figure out I'm a Corkman from North Cork, Fermoy. I've been living in Dublin now for about 25 years and absolutely love it. I suppose I've been working in different social enterprises and different kind of interesting companies now for a long period. I would have started off very much in the arts, and then I moved over to working in a creative exploration is the name of the concept that we worked on. It was basically around using the arts to open people's minds and get them thinking laterally and thinking outside the box. So that was in an organisation called Recreate. My background, would you believe, is financial. I started off in business. I started off in finance, but quickly figured out, Alan, that I wasn't very good at it. So I reckoned I better get off it very quickly before I get arrested. So I've kind of been working with organisations that are talking to people and connecting to people now for a long time. And yeah, I've been working with Common Purpose now for 9 months, but my association with Common Purpose goes back around 10 years when I actually did the Meridian programme while I was working in Temple Bar, would you believe?
Right.
And that really did teach me a lot about the power of connection and the power of working with people outside of your obvious sectors. So I've made a long loop. Did work with Common Purpose for a period in that where we allow people with particular challenges to come in. So if you've got a challenge in your business, we give the opportunity for people to come in, and they've got 30 high-class leaders, mentors, influencers, decision makers sitting there listening to your challenge and hopefully coming up with solutions. So I did that 3 times in the last 10 years. And then I basically was approached about coming on as CEO 9 months ago. It's all going great. Absolutely amazing organisation, and delighted to be talking to you about it today.
Brilliant stuff. And so the CEO, so the top man, the man in charge, as they say.
There's always somebody above you, Alan. Always.
Yeah, and I understand that totally.
Yeah, there's 4 of us here in Dublin. But there's around 120 working in Common Purpose around the world, because it's a global organisation started up around 30 years ago. Right. Exactly 30 years ago, actually, in Northern England and post-Thatcher Britain, I believe, where society had broken down. Nobody was talking to anybody, especially the miners and the politicians. And there was a very clever lady by the name of Julia Middleton that came up with the concept to bring leaders from different sectors together and bring them on an experiential journey and get them talking to each other, get them collaborating, getting connecting, finding commonality, finding a common purpose that they work towards. And the concept was so strong that it then went down to the south of England, and now it's in Australia, India, Germany, South Africa. Basically, it's now a global organisation.
Wow,
that's the message resonates around the world, very much around leaders working together for a stronger society, a stronger organisation that they work in, a stronger personal self. They're all connected.
Very good, very good. And that's, of course, what we're going to be talking about here is that it is that, and just listen to what you're saying there, like with regards to the way it's worldwide now, really, really insightful, of course, if nothing else. But I suppose building them connections across boundaries and starting to collaborate with other businesses and other business entrepreneurs and stuff like that. I think that is it's vitally important, obviously, for any business to grow and to flourish and whatever in that respect. But I do think that where's, like, when we talk about building them connections, where should really, I suppose the first question is going back to, the start of it is like, where should we start when it comes to something like this?
Okay. I mean, there's no obvious start place. When we work very hard on bringing together very unusual leaders from all different types of sectors together into one room and bringing them on that journey, as I talked about. Would they have commonality when they walk into the room? They probably think they don't have it. When they leave the room, and especially after the programs, they definitely do find that commonality. So what we find is that from an entrepreneur to an executive director to a CEO to a principal officer to an assistant secretary general, they're the same challenges are across all different sectors, but there might be different solutions. So that's kind of cross-pollination of skills and ideas is what we do here in Common Purpose to open the doors to create mediums that allow people to work together. what actually comes out of it, Alan, is all kinds of innovation. I mean, they talk about innovation. Everybody's talking about innovation, from cars to petrol, you name it. Everybody talks about innovation. But innovation comes from different ideas coming together, different concepts, different mindsets coming together and creating something new.
Right.
And that's very much what actually comes out within the programs that we run. The programs we run with senior leaders, we run them for junior leaders, we run them for students. We also do customized programs for companies. But it could be anything, the complex change that we're looking to help bring about could be cultural change, it could be scaling, it could be really, really making a deep effect in society. In other words, actioning a particular cause that you're very passionate about. And then you bring together a number three people together that actually have different skill sets. By coming together, they can create that solution.
Yeah.
But on their own, they mightn't have been able to create that solution.
Yeah. And
but it's that coming together of different skills from different sectors is really what is the value add for society, organisation, and for the person, as I said.
Yeah, and I think it works on, I think that really that does work on, it works on every level, like as you say, from a personal level right up to whether it be your business or whether it be just connecting with other like-minded people. Because I know, as you know, especially with regards to even say solo entrepreneurs who would work for themselves, and probably, if depending on the business that they do or the service that they provide, they may not see someone from one end of the day to the other if they're in their own world and they're in their own business.
Exactly correct.
So when you have that opportunity to actually sit in a room with a group of other business and like-minded people, and plus then you also have these mentors and you have these experienced people that have been in the business, that are in, whether it be in corporate world or whether it be in the different lines of the different sectors or the different areas, that they can share their experience. And even sometimes, something that is as simple as, maybe even changing wording on a document that could change everything for you that you wouldn't see necessarily because you're so busy within your own business, you're in your own world type of thing.
Well, what you're talking about there is kind of a basic network where actually to make sure that people are talking to each other and creating those mentors. But it's very hard to actually get deep enough to really get a tangible difference going. So, you can go to your business network, you can hand over a card and everybody's trying to sell it to each other, or else you can go to a peer-to-peer support group and maybe people are listening to you or maybe they're not listening to you. What we do differently is that we really do create connections. We use different techniques to actually get people to work together, to listen to each other, to find a commonality. But what we do then, Alan, is quite unusual, is that we bring people out into different experiences, bring in a huge number of speakers. I mean, we're being a not-for-profit, the doors open for us. There is, the only motive is about making stronger leaders and a stronger society. That is our objective. So we have this unrivaled network of around over 2,500 people in Ireland alone, where we bring in the speakers and we expose the participants to something that they never would have talked to about. Would it be, somebody, a social entrepreneur talking to a CEO of a US multinational? Would it be somebody working in a not-for-profit talking to a top secretary general?
Yeah.
That's the type of experiences that actually take people out of their comfort zone and get them talking to each other. Like, for example, we would go to prisons. We would talk to the governors about their prisoner rehabilitation programs. They're creating different enterprises to allow the lads not to go, or lads or lassies, to reoffend, to get them back in, to get them moved away from that particular spiral or circle of a back into the prisons that happens at. That's only one of the things. We go down to Dublin Port, we go to Sports Ireland, we would go to, we go everywhere. We go up to Ballymun. Anything that's relevant, innovative, that where somebody is showing leadership, and to get the participants really exposed to different experiences that actually bring them together. It might actually spark off a light bulb to inspire them to do something different and to work with each other. And if they're they're feeling good about themselves and they're feeling good about what they're doing, you can be sure that that will actually come back into the business, which is at the end of the day, the objective, the impact of the programs. Make them better leaders, make them better people, expose them to different ideas and inspirations, and be able to bring those back into their business and benefit their business at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think it's so important, like as you say, to be exposed to that level, and I think as well as that, I think with and I love the idea as common purpose, because even people at senior levels, like as you say, director generals or CEOs of these multinational companies, that when they see the smaller entrepreneur even just asking the questions, it also sparks stuff off of them that they go, well, hold on, we're missing out on that. Like, I'll give you, for instance, I was at the 3XE conference about 2 years ago, and there was a particular big, huge software company that were at it, and I'm not going to mention them, but they were basically, I was talking to the girl and I was saying, why would you be here? Because obviously, you're established and this is your business. And she says, to be honest, we're launching a new product. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to solo entrepreneurs, and I wanted to talk to entrepreneurs and business, people that are in business, and find out what their take is on this particular product. Because it had already been released, but they were struggling to get it to its full potential. So she was doing the research within that room to find out and speak to people. And I actually said it to her. I says, that's so good of that, because this was a big multinational company that were doing that. They were actually taking that time out to go and speak to people and find out what the reasons were and how can they change it. And I think as well as that, when we see, there's so many different types of businesses out there that have fantastic ideas. And like, I've worked with a lot of small SMEs and then medium-sized businesses, and worked with a few corporate businesses where you would actually see these things and you say, if you just tweak that a small bit, it's going to make life so much easier for you, but it'll also give you that satisfaction. And as well as that collaboration, if you can collaborate with someone, and I always say that, I think collaboration is the most important thing in business, above everything else, because if you don't collaborate, you are never going to, find out more information, help others, they're going to help you. It's a knock-on effect, total knock-on effect.
There's a very interesting thing that happens, when you're talking about the multinational, the CEO of the multinational comes in and they basically talk. Our model is that they would talk for between 12 and 15 minutes, and then we'd open up the Q&A. And the Q&A really does open up the pores as such, and it gets people talking. It allows people to actually to talk about what they want to talk about, but they find the connections. It allows them to probe for the connections. They're going, are you doing this? Did you think of doing it this way? By the way, this is the way I do it. And why does the CEO walk in there and have the conversation? Because they're looking to be asked the hard questions.
Yeah.
And we make it very clear when people come in that you will be asked hard questions. We do work under Chatham House rules, which means what actually happens in the room and says, and whoever says it isn't connected to what has been said.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But what stays in you can take the knowledge with you, but you can't say where it came from, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, of course.
And that means that it opens up the conversations, and it could be open up. If you make a connection with somebody, if it's over a game of football or listen to music or something like that, there's more opportunity then to explore that connection yourselves. So you establish the base, and then you work on from there. And then you may go, actually, by the way, we can actually work with each other.
Yeah.
This is something that I've been doing for around 15, 16 years, where I've actually automatically sitting down talking to somebody and my head is going, I could connect this. Yeah. And that's what creates the opportunities. And that's been very, very successful in different levels of business. That's the key for creating connections. And it is not passing a card from one person to another, or even doing an MBA program with somebody and sitting down beside them and talking about how hard it is to study. No, it's actually creating the experiences that people will actually be able to relate to each other and talk to each other about that experience. And then again, create the collaboration at the end, which is the key point.
Yeah, and I totally agree with it. And I think, when you're talking there, when you're saying this, it is because when I started out first, I was in a similar situation where I was starting out and I was a small company and whatever. And then I got approached by a particular corporate company to come in and talk to them. There is something there that I have to offer. And I think a lot of, especially, solo entrepreneurs or small businesses, they think, oh no, I can't deal with these big corporate companies. And when you actually break down them barriers and break down them boundaries, that we're all in the same thing. We're all doing the same thing. Just some are doing it on a bigger level or on a higher level. But the same token, I think the most important part is when you break a boundary down and we stand there and we talk to people, like I've talked to some of the world's leading social media experts. I've talked to some of the world's leading digital marketers and in business professionals around the world. And every time I get on a podcast and I talk with them, they're just the same as me. We're just sitting here having a chat and we're just talking. So when you break that down, all of a sudden it becomes a lot more easier to understand, and there's a lot more flexibility, I suppose, as much as well as anything else there.
Absolutely. It's about building trust. It's about establishing a connection between somebody. Again, I'll come back to the commonality. When you find that commonality, you build a base and then you can work from there, but trust is a very, very, very important element of all this.
Yeah.
If you're going to be opening up yourself to a person or a business or talking about a business, even when you are selling yourself as regards your business, you're always giving away a little bit of your knowledge of what you're doing with your company and what is your USP, why should you work with me? So there's always a little bit of trust in business. And if you can build in that trust, then the connections are established, and then the collaborations, and then, the business deal, then the contract, then the progression to, a longer term relationship.
Yeah.
So that's effectively what we do in Common Purpose. We set the base, we set the mediums to allow people to work together.
And I think that I'm a big advocate, and if you listen to any of the podcasts or anyone listens to any of the podcasts, I always say it, know, like, and trust. They're the key to building. They're the pillars of building business. Know, like, and trust. Because if I know you and I like you, I'm definitely going to start to trust you. But it's a progression, and we talk about that. I suppose here we're talking about it offline, but then we also have to look at it when we do connect with these people. And this is a part that I'm a big advocate of it, is that we must stay in touch online. We must connect online because of the world that we live in now, and we're in this digital age and whatever, that we have these opportunities that not just if I meet the CEO of the head of Dublin Port or something like that I just go, all right, well, that was great to meet him, and then never speak to him again, never hear from him again, but was intrigued to find out the more information about him. So I always say, connect with them online. Build that trust and keep that relationship going, because even though you may not see them for a couple of months or whatever it is, you still know exactly what's going on within their business. So it's bridging that gap as much as anything else then across offline and online as well. Yeah,
which what you're talking about is finding that commonality. You find that connection. You find that, you see that they support Munster Rugby and you go, oh gosh, yeah. And you kick off from there. Whenever I meet people, it's never where I walk in and I go, this is Common Purpose, this is what we do, we're brilliant. That might be the second meeting. It might be the last 5 minutes of a 2-hour meeting. But it is about finding that commonality and opening up and hearing more about the story. Because you do need to make the point that, when you come on the programs, it's not like signing up for Smurfit College. There's an advisory group, so we curate it very, very carefully so that there's a good connection. We've a fair idea that they will actually work with each other, So, it is important to create that element of it.
Yeah, because that was that was one of the questions I was actually going to ask you in regards to the programs and stuff like that, is when we, we've talked about building that trust and now crossing them boundaries and stuff like that. So when we move that to the next level, so with regards to where Common Purpose come, and I know you did speak about Meridian programs and stuff like that at the start there, but I think, that's, you sort of half answered it for me there by saying, it's sort of a more of a not selection process, but it's more of a, meeting of minds and saying, okay, well, these people could work together, or these people are better to be introduced to each other. There's opportunities there that something may happen from that. That's what
we would ensure that they're very much on the same level as much thing, because as I say, we've got when I say senior leaders, it's about people that are actually running, that would have a team or are connecting with a lot of different people. So you have the entrepreneur that's working with 30 or 40 different subcontractors, or else you've got somebody that's working with a team of 30, and they've got a real diversity in that group. It could be young and old. So, we have the senior leader programs, we have the emerging leader programs, but a senior leader can be 25, 26.
Yeah.
They can have shooting far, far above their weight, and, leading from the front. So where we look, this isn't elitism in any way. It's about actually connecting, making sure that the people will have some way of working together.
Yeah, it's connecting the right people to each other. Yeah, it's connecting the right people to each other. And like we talk about time we can't be wasting time. And I don't mean wasting time, but you know what I mean. Like time is precious, so let's use it to the best. Yeah, let's use it to the best of our ability. So by doing that, I think it's so important to be able to cut through it, type of thing.
You talked about the online element there, Alan. It's very, very important that we use use a blended learning model, which allows the participants to connect beforehand, learn all about each other beforehand, so they can find that commonality, which I keep on harping on about. And then it allows them to continue connecting, continue working with each other, and the thing about Common Purpose as well, it's got alumni, and the network goes on long after the program. So and we would do 1 or 2 events a year where we would bring people together, but we wouldn't bring together like people will meet you for a drink. We actually bring people together, like for example last year we did a Dublin for Everyone program in the Richmond Centre on Brunswick Street. So we had around 120 people that came together and was talking about, okay, so how do we affect change in Dublin that is required? Is that homelessness? Is that poverty? Is that inequality? Is that the lack of inclusion? And we opened up that debate, but we put a theme on it.
Yeah.
So it's not like different organisations going, we've got a networking event, why don't you come along and bring your cards along? It's a lot deeper than that.
Yeah.
It's a lot deeper than that.
And I'm a huge part of that. Like we talked to Jason Cooper, and we were talking about successful mindsets for business and sales and stuff like that. But we did touch on the subject of networking, and even Jason had said it, and I totally agree with it. Is you don't go to a networking meeting and say, all right, here's my card. You have to have something in common with that person before you can actually start doing business. And it's so important, because I think, like I've been to a huge amount of networking events over the years, and like that, I ended up, it turned me off them, because it was just people in corners talking to each other, and the same people, or else it was, someone would come up to you and the first thing they'd say, oh, hi, I do this, and pushing a card in your face. And that's of no benefit at all to me. I want to be able to get to know you, and it goes back to the know, like, and trust scenario, where, I want to get to know you first, and then I want to be able to say, okay, I like this person. Maybe there is some sort of synergy between us. Maybe we could do something together. Or maybe I know someone, and this is the key, and maybe I know someone that will benefit from their experience that I can introduce them to, or likewise. Because that is what we're talking about here. At the end of the day, we all are experts in our own field. We all know exactly what we're doing. We've honed our craft, but it's about building them connections and getting that message out to other people. And the only way you're going to do that is by building relationships, and building strong relationships as well.
But Alan, not everybody, is a talker. Not everybody is someone that is extroverted that can actually just walk up to people. Totally. Some people hate events, right? So So what you do is actually to put an experience in front of them, a speaker in front of them, something that they can actually converse about. Put them in a challenge, get them do an exercise with them where they actually have to listen to each other. So rather than going, okay, I'm going to wait until this person stops breathing and I'll be able to start talking.
Yeah.
No, you actually wait until you make sure that they've said everything that they've done or they want to say, and then you can react to it, or then you can put it in your tuppence worth. So that's the kind of the experiential, what we call is a peer-to-peer experiential learning model, which is effectively peers talking to peers and giving them experiences to learn from. And then that allows them to create those connections. Yeah. And you get way above the networking.
Hugely. It just works so well. Like, you know, we've done podcasts in the past where we've talked about storytelling and all that type of stuff. And one particular, we talked about story listening. And that's something that people don't do anymore. And, you know, they don't listen to other people's stories because they're so busy trying to tell their own story. Whereas if you actually stop and listen to someone who's talking and listen to the conversation and actually home in on that conversation and not be distracted by other things that are going on around you and listen to the actual person, you're going to learn so much, and you're going to learn so much in a very, very short space of time because you have decided that you are going to stop and take the time out to listen to this person, like the way people are listening to the podcast. They are listening to it because they want to listen to it, and they're listening because it's interesting. Well, I'm hoping it's interesting. But the point being,
so am I.
You know, but the point being that is that if we do more listening instead of more talking, it helps us establish a basis to understand what it is that we're doing. And like we're talking here about business and whatever, and I know the common purpose, as you say, is it's more than just business, it's diversity, it's inclusion, it's all of these other parts, which all make up the experience of living. You know, at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
That's it. Look, you know, I mean, basically, look, what we're trying to do at the end of the day, Alan, is that we're trying to establish great leadership that inspires, that like it fosters humility, it transforms people, and it breaks down complex barriers and differences. You know, so we look to create people that want to do more, that want to stand up and say, I want to make a difference, you know? And if they do that, you can be sure that their business will benefit. I know there's people listening in this podcast and they're going, I'm working 80, 90 hours a week. I don't have time for making connections. But those connections can reap so many benefits. Yeah, and so that's the key. Getting yourself out there. But that peer-to-peer element, Alan, is very, very important around mentorship. The classic scenario of it is tough at the top, and you get a CEO, you get an executive director, or somebody, an entrepreneur, and they're going, "Geez, there's nobody going through what I'm going through. There's nobody experiencing the hassle or the stress or the anxiety that I do." Within at the top. And Jesus, I tell you one thing, there's a lot of them out there.
There's a huge amount out
and
there.
By finding them and talking to them and sharing those experiences, it's an amazing support. Yeah. Amazing. And it brings so much to your own business.
Yeah, and just something that you touched on there, that the person saying, I work 90 hours a week and I haven't got time to be going to networking meetings and I haven't got this because I've so much to do and whatever. And
done that,
well, you know, and look, we've all been there. We've all, like, don't get me wrong, everyone has a busy day and everyone has busy lives and whatever. But I think the key here is and I found this out very, very quickly, after about 2 or 3 years in business, that I was doing that. I was doing them 50, 60 hours or a week, that I hadn't got time to do anything. I hadn't got any time for myself, for my family, for even leisure stuff or whatever. And I says, right, something has to change here because all you're doing is work to bed. And I just went, right, okay, we have to stop. And the minute I stopped and I started looking at other alternatives and saying, okay, well, how can I reduce that time? And I went to a number of different meetings and different, different presentations and stuff, and guys were talking about, and there was ladies talking about, here's an easier way for you to reduce the time that you spend doing this, or the time that you spend, and taking that on board and looking at it and saying, okay, right, well, let's implement this, changed so much that it gave me back the time that I needed. So where I would say is if people are out there and they're sort of going through that scenario, is to stand back from it and say, okay, well, maybe I need to reassess this, and maybe I need to take some time out and go to, say, one of the common purpose meetings or something like that, or one of the days, and see, okay, well, what can I benefit from it? Because if you don't try it, you're never going to know. And I think that's so important, that you actually stop and you stand back from what you're doing and go, hold on, guys, let me just have a look at this. Let's rethink this one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's giving people the opportunity to experience something completely different. Yeah. And that's pretty much what we do.
Very good, very good. I could sit here and talk to you for hours about this, because I find it very interesting. Cool. But nice. At the end of every show, I ask my guest one simple question, and it's not related to the podcast, but it has been asked over the last 63 episodes, and you're not going to be any different. Dara, if you had the chance to invite someone to dinner, whether it be past or present, who would it be and why?
There's many people I admire. I suppose, okay, I'm going to marry three things that I love. I love football, I love music, and I love meeting different people. And so I'm going to have to put Bob Marley in there.
Very good, very good.
He was the man that really crossed, apart from the music, apart from his love of football, he was a man that crossed so many different divides, being half Scottish and half Jamaican. Not many people know that. And he crossed bridges. He talked to everybody. He was one of the most open individuals you ever come across. And brilliantly creative on so many different fields. So yeah, absolutely, Bob Marley.
An evening with Bob Marley. Wow, that's the first time we've ever had Bob Marley on the show. But yes, I'm fantastic. Yeah, very good, very good. How can people, if they want to get in contact with you and reach out to you, Dara, how can people reach out and get in contact with you?
Okay, my email is Dara, Dara.Connolly, Connolly @commonpurpose.ie. Common Purpose Ireland. Take a look at it. It's interesting stuff. All our details are there. There's all different types of programs. As I said, for senior leaders, emerging leaders, students, we'd also come in and we work with organizations themselves, and we work with what they want to work at. In other words, if they want to work on cultural change, or they want to produce more empathy in the organization, or they just basically want to take their employees on a completely different experience and get them working together as a team.
Very good.
Yeah,
very good.
That's what we do. So yeah, absolutely, we're open to talk to everybody. So
excellent.
Yeah, hopefully we'll hear some new people over the next couple of days.
Super stuff.
And thank you, Alan, for the opportunity. Very much appreciated.
No problem. So the website is commonpurposeireland.com, and for more information you can find out all the details on that, and obviously you can find the social media links as well, and all the other bits and pieces as well on the website. And as Dara says, he was always happy to talk to you, so do reach out and connect with him as well on LinkedIn as well, because he always has some very interesting articles on the LinkedIn network as well. So Dara, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. We wish you continued success, and we shall talk to you soon. So thanks for your time today,
Alan. Thank you very, very much.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon. Bye bye.
See you, man. Bye bye. Bye bye.
So my thanks to Dara for coming on the podcast today and talking to us all about Common Purpose and the work that they do. And if you want to find out more about Common Purpose, you can log on to their website at commonpurpose.org/Ireland. And you can find out all about the leadership programs that they do, and loads of other information as well you can access there on the website. You can also follow Dara across all of the social media networks by just searching for Dara Connolly. So once again, my thanks to Dara for coming on and chatting with us today on the podcast. And if you'd like to listen to any of our previous podcasts, you can jump on to the website at compassmedia.ie/podcasts. And all of the podcasts are also available on Mixcloud, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. And we would be delighted if you would leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, as we are always thrilled to receive your feedback on these shows. You can also subscribe to the Social Media Talks podcast there as well, so you never miss an episode either. And if you'd like the show notes for this episode or for any of the previous episodes, you can log on to our website at compassmedia.ie/SM Talk show notes. And if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, please do get in contact with us. All you have to do is email us at smtalks@compassmedia.ie for more details. And if you want to find out about the services that Compass Media provide, from social media marketing, training and podcast services, visit our website for more details. And you can also reach out and connect with me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn. And I'm always delighted to connect with you. And all you have to do is search for either Alan Hennessy or for Compass Media. That's about all for today. So until the next time we see you, have a great week. I've been Alan Hennessy from Compass Media for the Social Media Talks podcast. And as I always say, until next time, bye-bye and be social. Until the next time, bye-bye.
Social Media Talks podcast is a production from compassmedia.ie.